Plane crashes, legends dying, missing ballers. Over the years, football's seen a couple of moments that brought even the hardest people in the world to tears.
The BBC has been told the owner of Leicester City Football Club was on board the helicopter that crashed and burst into flames just minutes after taking off from the King Power Stadium last night.
So I decided to make a list of the 10 most emotional moments in football. And at number 1, Cristiano Ronaldo suffered the biggest heartbreak of his life. As a kid, growing up for Ronaldo was tough. His parents had nothing, man, and because of that, Ronaldo and his siblings grew up in poverty. But Ronaldo had found the one thing he could use to escape the hard times, and it was football. So because of that, he spent hours every day trying to practice his skills. See, his dad, Jose Diniz, worked as a kit man for the local club, Andorinha, meaning he was always on the field after hours. Part of the reason Ronaldo so badly wanted to turn pro was so he could become closer to his dad. It's not as if he hadn't tried getting closer to his dad in the past, but his dad also doubled up as a former military veteran, and due to the fact that the war was over and he didn't have a high-paying job, Ronaldo's dad became addicted to alcohol. Ronaldo did everything to make it to the top, and finally when he turned pro, it looked like he was able to achieve his goal, because for the first time since he could remember, his dad was genuinely proud of him for giving the family hope and taking them out of poverty. But just as Ronaldo was making waves in the game, tragedy struck. His old man was sick and had been diagnosed with serious liver issues. Ronaldo was willing to give anything just so his dad could turn out okay. He even asked permission to leave his Manchester United team so he could stay with his dad and help him recover. But in the end, it didn't work out, and Ronaldo's biggest fears were confirmed. His dad, Jose Diniz, didn't make it. The alcohol from all those years had caught up to him, and his liver couldn't carry on anymore. To this day, it still hurts Ronaldo, but his dad never saw just how good he'd become.
Já tão grandes que não dá capacidade para não fico muito atacado. É melhor ver na televisão.
Look at the tears in Ronaldo's face. That says everything you need to know about just how much his dad's death affected him. There's nothing more painful than losing your old man, but at least Ronaldo got to spend the final moments with him before he passed. Something Ayawat Srivad Hanaprabha would give anything just to have. In 2018, Leicester City's owner, Vichai Srivad Hanaprabha, had just finished watching his Leicester team take on West Ham in the English Premier League when he decided to head home. Now, Vichai came to watch the game in his private jet, so after meeting with the team coaches and the rest of the staff, he was back on the helicopter and ready to take flight. But just a few minutes after takeoff, and boom.
They crashed and burst into flames just minutes after taking off from the King Power Stadium last night.
The helicopter crashed, leaving Vichai, the pilot, and 4 other members of his staff dead on the spot. The news sent shockwaves throughout the league. The Leicester players couldn't believe it. They had a meeting with him hours back, and some had even taken pictures after the game. For Vichai's son, Ayawat, it was like his life was over. All those years spent learning under his dad, and now his old man wasn't going to be there to guide him anymore. And this reality almost broke him. But he was lucky because in all of this, he wasn't alone. The Leicester City players all flew on a plane to Bangkok to give their last respects and attend the burial, and all offered to show support for Ayawat as he became the new chairman of the club. Sad stuff, man. Ayawat, if you're watching this, my heart's with you, bro. Just like it is with Christian Atsu's family, after one of the most tragic deaths I've ever seen. In early 2023, Christian Atsu was feeling like he was on top of the world. He just scored a stoppage time winner for his Hatayspor team in the home game against Kasimpasa, and after returning home was supposed to be on a flight the next day to go meet up with his family, but it never happened, because hours after his game-winning goal, the news broke out. A huge earthquake had hit Syria and Turkey, and Atsu's apartment was in one of the affected areas. Atsu's friends and family prayed hard that he wasn't one of the affected victims, so they began calling his number, but it didn't go through. Still, they didn't give up until after days of searching, the sad reality was confirmed.
Now, the body of Ghana national player and former Newcastle midfielder Christian Atsu has been discovered in Turkey.
Atsu's body was found in the wreckage. The earthquake had killed him. It was such a huge blow not just to his family now, but to his entire nation of Ghana. Atsu was like a local hero back home. He'd helped fund loads of local projects for school kids and charity organizations. And all the teams he'd played for: Chelsea, Newcastle, Malaga and Bournemouth. They each had positive things to say about the Ghanaian. Despite his tragic death, death, the Ghanaian government was determined to treat Atsu like a hero. So hours after confirming that it was his body found in the wreckage, they covered his casket with the colours of the national flag, flew him home to Ghana, and gave him a burial befitting of a king. A legend. To be honest, there's just something so chilling about a footballer going missing, and it always hurts. First Atsu, and in 2019, Emiliano Sala. Here's the thing, Emiliano Sala had just agreed a record deal with Cardiff City to become the new striker for the English Premier League team, and as part of the deal, he was to fly on a private plane from his former team Nantes to the UK. Everything was set for this one to go through. Heck, hours before, both Sala and the pilot, David Ibbotson, had even subscribed to Mr. Football to show they were ready. But as the flight had gone a few minutes in, Sala noticed something strange about the plane, so he phoned his family.
Andan loquitos locos. Hermano, estoy muerto.
It's like I'm on a plane that looks like it's going to fall apart. I'm really scared. If no one finds me, then you know what happened. That was the last time anyone ever heard Sala's voice, because minutes later the plane disappeared from the control tower's radar and the search for the new Cardiff City man and his pilot began. It lasted for days, and after coming up with nothing, the rescue team was ready to give up. But at this point, it was just a case of Cardiff City and Nantes looking for their player. The whole of football had gotten involved, and popular names like Kylian Mbappe and N'Golo Kante even made donations to skydivers and rescue teams, just so they could continue the search for the missing plane. And days later they came up with devastating news.
The Argentinian footballer Emiliano Sala, for he was unexpectedly and tragically killed in a plane crash.
The plane had crashed into the English River near Guernsey, and in the wreckage the divers had found what they confirmed to be Sala's body. Sad news. But you see guys, sometimes some emotional moments in the game can start horribly and end up with beautiful news. But don't take it from me, just ask Christian Eriksen and the time the Danish national team squad teamed up to save his life. Euro 2020 Denmark versus Finland in the opening game, and all eyes were on the Danish star man Christian Eriksen. The country had its hopes on Eriksen's shoulders to take them far into the tournament, but just 41 minutes into the opening game, and it seemed like the weight of the expectation must have been too much for Eriksen, because after seconds after receiving a pass, this happened.
He read the ball, didn't he, into the channel. Eriksen just trying to get through the throw, but he was...
It immediately sent everyone into panic mode. At first, people were struggling to understand what they'd just seen, because no one knew why he'd fallen like that. The medical team rushed to the field, but as soon as they got there, what they met was even more horrible news. Eriksen was out cold and wasn't responding. At this point, it was now a state of emergency, and if they didn't act quickly, Eriksen was going to lose his life on the pitch. Lucky for him, his teammate and national team captain, Simon Kjær, was like Superman in football boots, because he not only stopped Eriksen from swallowing his tongue, but ordered his teammates to come around and form a shield to protect Eriksen from the photographers and people trying to take pictures of the horrible moment. And soon after Eriksen was stable, he rushed to Eriksen's wife to inform her and keep her both and Eriksen's kids calm. What a guy. In the end, Eriksen turned out okay and dropped this one from the hospital to his fans and teammates. A miracle. As for Simon Kjær, his efforts didn't go unnoticed. Months later, FIFA offered him a special award for saving his teammate's life and acting like a hero. Well deserved. But not every story has a happy ending. Like Jermaine Defoe and the little angel that touched everyone's heart in 2016, Bradley Lowry. Little Bradley was diagnosed with cancer aged 7, but it didn't stop him from living his best life as a kid. Once his parents got to know of his condition, they were determined to make sure Bradley got to see his biggest dreams come to reality. And one of them was meeting his boyhood club, the Sunderland team. In the end, they made Bradley's wish come true, got him access to the first team, and straight away Bradley became a favourite. But it was with Jermaine Defoe that he formed a closest bond. Bradley and Defoe became so close that Defoe was always with him before and after games, and Bradley even got to act as a mascot for the team in an official Premier League game with Defoe as captain. It didn't end there.
Chelsea against is so special, and because it's joy.
Bradley got a ceremonial kick at goal, and his effort won the Goal of the Month award. Incredible. But sadly, Bradley's condition started getting worse, and the team kept sending messages of support to Bradley. Defoe even went to see him in the hospital, and while there was brief hope for a moment or two, the cancer just got the better of Bradley. The kid didn't make it. Still breaks my heart watching this. Defoe was in tears, as were the people who got infected by young Bradley's energy and spirit. The kid showed everyone everyone that despite his condition, it was possible to live a dream life, and his memory will never be forgotten. Sunderland's little prince passed, and the club felt it. But when the king of football died, the entire world was in a state of mourning. For years, Pelé was the spirit of football. During his playing career, he was the best the game had ever seen. He had everything: goals, dribbles, skills, heck, he even played as a goalie early on, because he was that good. Pelé scored over 1,000 goals in his career, and even after his retirement, people still referred to him as the king of football. But as the years passed, Pelé became older, and from that man full of energy and willing to take on an entire team of opponents, Pelé transitioned into an older man who was living his last days on earth. His body was slowing, giving signs that it'll soon be time to leave. And the only thing keep him from going was his love for the game. Even though he was way older now, Pelé still found time to support his beloved Brazil team, even through social media posts, or even meeting with some members of the team before major events. Still, Pelé's condition worsened, and as the Christmas season came around the corner in 2022, the football world was on red alert. Pelé had been admitted into the unit for final care, as his response to treatment was slow. Now the signs were there for all to see. The king was ready to make his exit from the place he'd played the beautiful game for years, and days later, on the 29th of December 2022, it was official. Edson Arantes dos Nascimento, better known as Pelé, was dead. The king had gone, and everyone felt it. From corners around the world, fans poured in with tributes for the man who'd taken the game to a global scale. And because of how large it was, his burial became a public affair. There'll never be another Pelé, the king of the Joga Bonito. You see, for fans who grew up in his era and watched them play, Pelé's death was even more emotional, because now it was almost as if the fairy tale had come to pass. Pelé was now going to fulfill his promise and play football with his friends in the sky. In December 2020, the world was still recovering from COVID when the shocking news dropped. Diego Maradona was dead. See, he'd been battling with a heart problem for months, and unfortunately his body couldn't carry him any longer, and he passed. Once the news of his death became global, the entire world went into a state of mourning, especially in Argentina. To some Argentine fans, Diego Maradona was a religion, and to the rest of them, he was like a god. But you see guys, no one felt Maradona's death more than his daughter Dalma, because the two of them were almost inseparable. Every game, it was like that. At the Boca Juniors Stadium, Maradona was always there, in his special box with Dalma by his side, as the two of them cheered Boca to victory. But now, for the first time in her life, Dalma was in her dad's box all alone, and he wasn't going to be there to comfort her or watch the game with her, and this reality hit hard, especially after the Boca Junior players paid her dad the final tribute. The passing of a legend, a sad day for football. But you see guys, sometimes it isn't until a legend dies before a moment becomes truly emotional. The day this legend left the club that made him become an icon, it sent shockwaves around the world. Almost all of his career for Messi, it had always been Barcelona. He owed them his life because they saved him and paid for his growth hormone injections when everyone else had given up on him. And in return, Messi paid it back by becoming the GOAT of the game and a Barcelona legend. Messi had made it clear that he wanted to play all his life at Barca and retire there. But in 2020, for the first time, he admitted that he wanted to leave, but the club blocked a transfer. Thankfully, Messi stayed, and after winning the Copa America with Argentina in 2021, his first trophy with the national team, Messi thought he was going to crown the moment by signing a contract extension with Barca. Instead, his world came crashing down. Barca was in a huge financial mess. Some of the officials at the club had taken shady deals to steal funds meant for the team, and after overpaying for a couple of transfers in the past, the club was in debt. Because of how big his salary was, the Messi issue put them in a difficult situation. His wages were huge, and what this meant was that if they decided to give Messi a new contract, they won't be able to register other members of the team. The issue dragged on for days until the end they came to a decision that changed Messi's life. Messi was leaving. Damn, this one still hurts. Messi gave them everything and thought he'd spend all his life there, but now it was over. At least while leaving, Messi had moments to look back on from his magical career at Barca, but I'm pretty sure one of them won't have been the time he almost died after a brutal foul. Just like Messi, there's a list of footballers whose lives flashed before their eyes after being on the end of some of the dirtiest fouls you'll ever see. Click the next video to find out the 10 most brutal fouls in football history.